Yung nangyari ng I think it was August 8, the Chinese fired off flares in front of one of our propeller-driven airplanes. It's not the first time they've done it, to other countries. Pero what does it, ano implication nun? What's the significance?
Hindi ba yan kasama doon sa agreement, Yusek?
Yun nga yung parang ine-expect ng karamihan sa ating mga kababayan. Nakasama ito dun sa agreement. Hindi po, no? The provisional agreement between the Philippines and the People's Republic of China was only limited to Ayungin Shoal, the resupply mission to Ayungin. Okay, so hindi pasok yung iba. Ang luwag-luwag ng West Philippine Sea, no? Napakadaming features. We have 9 occupied features and many of these areas are contested. So, kinabigla talaga namin yung nangyari, no? We were surprised that this event happened, and the condemnation really is very strong, not only from the IFP, not only from the National Task Force West Philippine Sea, but also from the President himself. Kasi clearly unprovoked yung nangyari kasi wala namang ginagawa yung ating eroplano doon, but doing a routine patrol mission over Bajo de Masinloc.
Okay, ADG Malaya, when you say routine, we have done this before in the past because to my recollection, ADG Malaya, the Chinese have effective control of Scarborough Shoal, so I guess as far as they're concerned, that includes airspace. So, is this the first time we've been back there in terms of the Air Force, or have we been doing this all along?
Well, when you say the People's Republic of China has effective control, what they have is just control over the lagoon. Mm-hmm. It's just inside the shoal. Okay. Outside of the shoal, our BFAR vessels can go in. Our Coast Guard vessels can do what they need to do, and our fishermen can also fish. And we always conduct maritime patrol over that area. This is not the first time, and this will not be the last time na gagawin natin yung maritime patrol natin. But this is the first time, as you said, that they did this kind of intercept at nagpaputok pa ng flare in the flight path of the Philippine Air Force.
So the Air Force has always been flying in that area?
Yes.
Okay.
We have always been flying in that area.
And the missions of the Philippine Air Force is related to what? I mean, information gathering or monitoring? What sort of activities are involved in these Air Force missions?
No. What we do is what sovereign nations do. Remember, Bajo de Masinloc is very close to the coastline of Zambales. No, it is a low tide elevation which is not subject to the sovereignty claim of any country. Mm-hmm. It is within the exclusive economic zone of the Philippines and continental shelf. So our Philippine Air Force was doing what any sovereign country would do. It's inside its EEZ patrol. Primarily for maritime domain awareness.
Asan yung agreement nyo over yung resupply mission sa Ayungin, it covers pati aerial operations, ano?
No, it does not. What was explicitly provided in the preliminary understanding with the People's Republic of China over Ayungin Shoal is the maritime resupply mission. So, hindi covered doon yung aerial resupply. But the Philippines can utilize an operational mix of various means of resupplying our people in Ayungin Shoal.
So, Yusek, kung
aerial resupply, pwede siyang aerial resupply?
Pwede. There's no provision, yes. There is no provision.
Malinaw na ba? Kasi hanggang ngayon parang may disagreement pa on both sides. Yung, do we have to notify China, or do we notify China, or do they get to know kung may papunta tayong vessel dahil lang sa mga protocols on shipping? Malinaw na ba yan, yung aspect na yan?
Ma'am Ami, if you look, as I said during the last time I also was on this show, maliwanag na yung laman ng provisional agreement between the Philippines and the PRC. Ini-spin nila for them to be able to save face and for their domestic audience. Because, the Chinese Communist Party has to project a certain image to their public, no? That they are in control. But China the People's Republic of China and the Philippine government knows exactly what is in that agreement. And maliwanag in that agreement that there is no prior notification and that there is no boarding or inspection of our ships going to BRP Sierra Madre. And nasunod naman ito. Ini-spin lang nila to make them look, for them to save face, no? Kasi napilitan silang makipagsundo sa atin.
Yusek, may plano na ba tayo or framework kung sakaling halimbawa mangyari uli yung ganitong klaseng aerial harassment, lalo na kung magkaroon ng aksidente? Halimbawa, isang eroplano natin or chopper ay paulanan uli nitong flares at maaksidente yung ating eroplano or chopper. Sana naman hindi. Pero kung sakaling mangyari yan, Yusek, meron ba tayong framework na immediate na position natin, immediate conduct?
Yes, meron. In fact, in 2019, meron tayong tinatawag na multilateral set of guidelines for air military encounters. And this was adopted by the defense ministers of the ASEAN region. Okay? At meron din ang PRC and the United States and some other powers also agreed on missions in principle on multilateral guidelines to manage unexpected encounters between their military aircraft. So meron ganito, no? So I don't know exactly if we will pursue a similar agreement with China, but if you ask me that question, yes, there is a certain types of agreements that can be the position of the Philippines moving forward.
Sir, we're all familiar with the Grayzone operations. China's been conducting this with, for example, yung militia boats nila on the water. What about this one? This looks eerily familiar. Para sa Grayzone operations in the air or operations short of military conflict. Is this how you look at it? And moving forward, what do we do about it?
Yes. Ed, you are very correct, 100% correct. This is an extension of what is called as Grayzone operations, or what the Philippine government calls as ICAD, illegal, coercive, aggressive, and deceptive actions. So, in-expand lang nila, no? It began in the sea, now they're doing it in the air. They have done this with the aircraft of other countries in the past. May toolkit na sila eh. They've done this with Indo-PACOM aircraft of the US Air Force, with other countries in the world. Ngayon, ginagawa na rin nila sa atin. So, this can be considered an escalation on the part of the People's Republic of China. Kasi nga, this is the first time that we've had this kind of encounter with them.
Yes, sir. But what I mean kasi, sir, is that it's been done by China, as you said, even before. The latest was, I think, with Australia, an Australian helicopter in May of this year, dun sa Yellow Sea, although it's not South China Sea, pero Yellow Sea. But it's being done by China and, for example, the Soviet Union. Hindi pala Soviet Union. by Russia. Russia's been doing it in, for example, over Syria. In a couple of years ago, may na-damage na US drone over Syria because nagpakawalan ng flares ang isang Russian jet, tumama sa propeller ng drone. And so it almost went down. So it's been going on for quite some time by these two countries. Diba? Parang going back to Tito Ronald's question, how do we move forward with protocols on this, and would they even agree to such a protocol?
Well, as I said, because this has been happening for a long time, there has been guidelines that have been agreed to by some nations, including the Philippines, tayo naman with ASEAN countries, to manage
what about China?
Events.
Yes, sir.
To manage such events in the airspace. So this could be considered by our government. This could be in trying to settle future incidents if it so happens in Bahos, the Masinloc, and other parts of the West Philippine Sea.
Yes, sir.
ADG Malaya, could it be possible that there are operational gaps between diplomats and defense officials of both sides, or China, for example? That what's being discussed among diplomats is not necessarily translate or among defense officials who are on the ground.
Okay. Insofar as the Philippines is concerned, I don't think so. The coordination between our different departments are pretty established and standardized. So there is clear coordination. Even the statements released by the Armed Forces, the Office of the President, and the NTF WPS was consulted all around. So we have a common stand. I also think the same is the situation in China, because they have one big entity, the Communist Party of China, that rules everything. So essentially, I think they want to settle Ayungin, but since the Ayungin agreement was some sort of a setback for them,
Okay.
they want to put pressure on the Philippines on other fronts.
Okay.
Yusek, nung August 9 to 12, may pumasok na mga militia, itong U fleet, pumasok sa ating Balintang Channel. No? Armed militia, pumasok sa ating Balintang Channel o yung Luzon Strait. Alam na ba natin kung ano objective nila? Ba't sila nandun?
I'm not entirely familiar about this, no. I'll have to check with the Philippine Navy or the forces. Kasi after that, dumaan lang sila and hindi na natin sila nakita within our maritime.
Pero matagal din sila, no? Several days. 4 days sila nandun, no? Kaya people are asking, anong ginagawa nila ron? No? Lalo na, alam natin na USEC, na yung militia nila ay under ng kanilang Coast Guard at saka Navy. At ito ay mga armado. Hindi lang ito yung mga simpleng mga barko. Dahil malalaki rin ito, 55 to 60 meters. Yung haba niya mga yan.
Kaya kailangan na natin yung Archipelagic Sea Lanes Bill. Kasi yung Archipelagic Sea Lanes Bill will identify the sea lanes that can be used by foreign entities, whether they are civilian or military, in passing through our Philippine archipelago. Sa ngayon kasi wala pa tayo noon. So technically, a ship, whether civilian or military, exercising innocent passage can pass through anywhere in the Philippines until we have identified our archipelagic sea lanes. So I'm glad that the Senate has been working on this kasi pasado na sa House eh. Yung Senado naman under Senator Tolentino is fast-tracking the passage of this bill. Kasi pag meron na tayong ganito, identify, dito lang kayo dumaan. Pag dumaan sila sa ibang lugar, that becomes a violation of our sovereignty. So, maliwanag na mali yung ginagawa nila. As opposed to the situation right now where they can practically go anywhere in the absence of the archipelagic sea lanes bill.
Okay. ADG Malaya,
As
if we
you
can move on
mentioned
to...
you mentioned na nangyari na nga to, ginawa na ng China yung paggamit ng flares with other countries. Can you tell us kung ano naging response ng ibang bansa apart from, of course, filing diplomatic protests?
Well,
Meron ba silang mga binago sa mga protocols nila, sa mga operations nila?
as far as I know, pinonetesta nila, they exposed it to the public.
Diplomatic
They have
protest,
their own transparency initiative.
440.
And then, they tried to work out some sort of agreement with the Liberation Army. So far, bumaba naman yung incidents na nakita ko with the US Air Force. I don't know about the other air forces, pero in past couple of years, dati mas marami, ngayon mas kumonti.
So tayo, we will be talking with Beijing again kasi meron naman tayong mechanism for talking with them, di ba? Are you
sure.
setting any talks to resolve this? Para hindi na lang maulit to? Meron bang nakaschedule na ganon? Meeting between the Philippines and China?
Well, I cannot speak for the DFA kasi they're the lead here. But given that we are going to file a diplomatic protest, I think it will be standard for the DFA to raise this in the next bilateral consultation mechanism. This time to be hosted by the PRC. Sila naman ang mag-host. We have to wait for them to call for that meeting. Then I'm sure, definitely I'm sure that the Philippine government to the DFA will raise this issue with them.
Sir, before we drop the topic, balikan ko lang yung sinabi niyo kanina may 2019 multilateral guidelines for air encounters. I'm wondering, if, first of all, of course kasama tayo dun but does that include China as well? And have you gone through it and have you seen what it specifies with regard to encounters like these? For example, ano yung bawal at ano hindi, at ano yung recourse ng aggrieved party?
The guidelines I mentioned, which is the guidelines for air military encounters, was among ASEAN countries, and this was entered into in October 19, 2018. So this is just among our ASEAN countries wala pa tayo with the PRC. So this is something that I think we can consider, so that we don't have incidents like this moving forward.
Ang dami ng mga tao nakakaalam ng elements ng ating agreement with China. Kailan ba yan ilalabas, yung agreement? Para hindi na kami magkamali ng panghuhula kung ano yung laman ng agreement.
Bago tayo ng bagong agreement, yung lumang agreement, ilabas muna.
Ganito kasi yung kasunduan dyan. Releasing the agreement to the public requires the consent of both parties. So if China does not agree, I think our hands are tied, no? So far as we're concerned, kasi we don't want to be accused of violating the agreement. And if considering how the resupply mission happened last time, tumupad naman ang parehong both parties. Tumupad naman dun sa laman. Ini-spin lang sa media.
Okay.
But
Pero sir,
ADG Malaya, sir,
sumunod parehong parties.
is there more to the agreement, to this provisional agreement, than what was already disclosed by the Chinese Foreign Ministry? Kasi it seems like marami na rin sila sinabi na hindi sinasabi ng Philippine side. So meron pa ba silang hindi sinasabi?
Again, yung sinabi ng Foreign Ministry has to be taken with a grain of salt. Alam mo naman, that's standard CPC propaganda, trying to spin the agreement in their favor. Kasi kung babasahin mo yung statement nila, very carefully worded, they said that these are the principles that China took when we talked with the Philippines. Tapos sa dulo, hindi naman nila sinabi doon na we agreed to it, no? So they're trying to spin it, they're trying to put a good face into it. Kasi at the end of the day, remember, BRP Sierra Madre is still there. Our troops are still there. The original demand for us to pull out has not been met. In fact, napagbigyan pa tayo na maging maayos yung resupply natin sa Ayungin Shoal. So it's understandable that China would try to spin this in their favor.
So this thing that they're saying that the Philippine side has to notify them, that's also not in the agreement.
No, I can say that with a straight face. Definitely, there is not that kind. There was no prior notification. No was there boarding or inspection or regulation or supervision that was claimed by China. So, kailangan ihiwalay natin yung optics or the propaganda from the reality on the ground. And we are pleasantly surprised that in the ground, nasunod naman lahat yung terms of the agreement. Magkaiba lang talaga in terms of the optics and the propaganda from the foreign ministry.
May time frame ba, Yusek, itong agreement na ito? Halimbawa, after 1 year, i-review.
Expiration.
May ganun ba? May expiry date ba yan?
It's open-ended but subject to regular review. So, so long as both parties, I think, agree to it and no one moves to change any of its provisions, it will continue to be observed by both
How
parties.
many raw emissions have been undertaken by the Philippine side since then, since that agreement?
Just one. So
Just
far,
one.
just one.
Pero sir, why is China free to release its own version or its own narrative of the agreement with its own spin? Tapos we seem to be bound to just react to whatever they release. 'Di ba? Parang medyo one-sided naman 'yun, ha? 'Di ba?
Wala bang violation sila doon sa kanilang paglabas ng kanyang statements, Yusek?
But because we negotiated in good faith, no? We negotiated in good faith, so we want to take the moral high ground here. In everything we do, actually, we have always taken the moral high ground. Ang dami nang gustong makipag-water cannon din tayo na sabayan natin yung China sa kanilang aggressive, deceptive, illegal actions. But we never took that route because we wanted to take the moral high ground. So, siguro, let's just accept it for what it is. China will always try to spin it the way they want it. But what's important is the Filipino people know the truth.
Well, yun nga sir,
So,
we don't
dito
know the
sa
details.
Scarborough, tuloy pa rin yung ano ninyo, magtutuloy pa rin yung aerial operations. There are routine patrols, di ba?
Yes.
Tuloy pa rin ba yung routine patrols? Kailan kaya yung within the week kaya meron ulit?
Not just the routine patrols, we have a constant Coast Guard and BFAR rotation. So pag umalis na yung Coast Guard, papalit yung BFAR, tapos babalik uli yung Coast Guard. And routine patrols also from the Philippine Air Force. I don't exactly know when the Air Force will conduct its next maritime patrol, but the guidance coming from the National Security Advisor is to keep it constant, just to keep the pace. And also to put the additional pressure on China.
ADG Malaya, the easing or the de-escalation of tension in the West Philippine Sea. Okay, let's first of all recognize or accept na may premise tayong gano'n, nagde-de-escalate yung tension sa West Philippine Sea. Is it being helped or fostered by seeming de-escalated tensions between the U.S. and China on the larger front?
I don't necessarily see the correlation between what's happening in the Philippines and what's happening in the U.S. But I could presume, we could probably say that maybe there's an effect, because I know that the United States is also putting the pressure on China. No? They have been talking to the Chinese leaders and telling them that you have to respect the Philippines, you have to respect UNCLOS, you have to respect the arbitral ruling. So maybe all around, all of these things,
Is China, is the U.S. also, I won't use the word pressure, no? Is the U.S. also advising us to take it easy?
That's a hard question to answer, because remember, this is our concern, and therefore it is primarily our responsibility. But the United States has always wanted regional stability in this part of the world. No? It is to their interest that things are kept at the low, no? That tensions do not increase as much as possible. So, but at the same vein, they always tell us that their commitment to the Philippines is ironclad.
Yes.